So the entire market was concentrated towards BTC, and everything else sort of bled or lagged against BTC. So this is a very concentrated bull market. A secular bull market is when everything moves up together, right? Something could be moving up by 10%, something could be moving up by 90%, something could be moving up by 50%, but everything is
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे बाप होते हैं.
Okay, we're live.
Welcome, Narkundi, Crypto Daddy and Realist. I'm hoping कि वीकेंड पे तुम लोग ने देखा या चद्दर तान के सो रहे थे, पता नहीं कि कहाँ जा रही है मार्केट, but there has been a weekly close now below the 50-week moving average, the first one. So if there is another one, then we have probably entered bear market territory. Now, ये पूरा वीकेंड जो है सीटी पे लोग पागल हो रहे थे. There has been big debate, right, between bulls and bears कि क्या होने वाला है. But again, people are indecisive. दोनों साइड पे equal वो है कि some people are saying, जैसे I don't know कि क्रिप्टो आईडी तूने देखा कि तारा ने बोला कि बॉटम लग गया है. So yeah, so you're I mean, like, what do you guys think? क्या तुम did you guys trade anything?
Yeah, so no, I wasn't trading, bro. This is not the market you trade. I mean, technically yes, you can, but for me it was more on waiting and looking at the scenario. I told you guys I was already in short positions earlier. I booked some profits at 94, 93K. My target was 92, but okay, 92 took the jagger, but I don't think it touched 92, 92, 900, say reverted back. So all my shorts got closed. I made a little profits there. But now where to move, where to put my trades, I have to see market kis tarah move karti hai, because I don't trade long term, I'm trading short trades, so I have to see where the market moves. Us hisab se I'll place my orders.
All right, let me share my screen. ठीक है. So this is where, I mean, so this is your 50-week moving average. We have closed decisively below it. So it has to completely retrace to this level this week, which, I mean, it is possible, obviously. Otherwise,
as per Cohen's indicator, it's two weekly closes.
Yes, two weekly closes. So if there are 2 weekly closes below this level, right? So the next target is this, which is your 67K. And if there are 2 weekly closes and we have entered a bear market territory, there is positive news. It won't be as deep as the previous bear markets. Like it would be more of like a sort of aram se niche jayega. It'll go to that level and then move back. It won't be like as deep as like a 70-80% correction, because for that level of correction, the up move also has to be like euphoria. और इस बार हम लोग euphoria में ऊपर नहीं गए. We've gone like up in a very subdued sort of level. तेरे alt BTC, I know it's not a popular opinion right now, and अगर I think कोई भी CT पे डालेगा कि bear market आ गया है या alts अभी नहीं चलने वाले और maybe इस cycle alts चलेंगे ही नहीं, तबाह कर रहे हैं उनको लोग. Like people are just going crazy because इतने alts खरीद के बैठे लोग, इतने पैसे लुटा के बैठे हैं alts पे कि they're in a, obviously they'll get a little worked up. But again, the thing is that alt BTC pairs have not yet bottomed. So again, we cannot say for sure कि alts are going to see like a euphoric up move. Daddy तो कुछ बोल रहा था.
I think also because people are so heavily invested, they're also in sort of disbelief वो कि नहीं bear market तो आ ही नहीं सकता, जब तक अभी तक alt market आया नहीं है तो bear market आ ही नहीं सकता. And it's not the right way to look at the market. I mean, you're trading and you've got a lot of money, and you have to be able to be ready to sort of cut your losses and know exactly where the market is moving. That is one big aspect of trading if you're into it. You can't always be an optimistic individual or optimistic bull कि नहीं अभी तो आएगा ही आएगा bull market. ऐसा होता नहीं है. You have to be prepared for all the possible outcomes.
So yeah, obviously we're not saying that this is a bear market. There are like multiple indicators that need to like still can happen. अभी तो ये week एक weekly close है. Next week में it can be like any kind of catalyst that just moves the market, right? but more than likely अगर तेरा 2 weekly close हो तो there has to be a downward move. Now इस वीक क्या क्या हुआ, आज की क्या ताज़ा खबर है? So yeah, आज तुम लोग ने I don't know देखा कि जापान bond yields have like reached a multi-decade high, and they because they announced like $110 billion stimulus package. So realist यार इसका पता कि क्या मार्केट पे क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है, because as you know कि US markets में a lot of people, because there are such low interest rates, they have been like low interest rates in the Bank of Japan कि लोग यहाँ से बहुत borrow करते हैं पैसा, and वो पैसा फिर US ले जाके like obviously they deploy it. So इसका क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है मार्केट पे?
So currently, BOJ has always led the cash carry trade. So people have always borrowed in the yen and they've sort of invested globally. So that is one. And of course, yen was always depreciating and it still depreciates against the dollar. So if you borrow at a particular exchange rate and you're effectively borrowing for free because you're probably at most paying a percent on top or maybe like 0.5% on top. There was even a point of time when you were actually paid to borrow, which is essentially negative funding rates. So people would borrow, invest globally, make money, and the dollar would appreciate in that point of time. And they would return the principal back to Japan. So Japan has sort of fueled this cash carry trade. That's the term where I think a lot of listeners would have probably heard that term being thrown around in the news, but that's what the cash carry trade means, that you borrow from Japan, you trade somewhere else, you carry forward that trade effectively, and then you return your principal back in the Japanese yen, and you make money using that arbitrage, and obviously the fact that you borrowed at practically zero funding rates. Now, yields going up, there are two ways of looking at it. I think the repo rates as per BOJ is still at 50 bips. They're, I think, scheduled to increase it to 75 bips by the end of this quarter. Now the bond yields, right? So now bond yields, so currently yields are essentially markets, right? So the repo rate is still lagging the markets, which is something that's happening in the US as well. In the US, we were discussing this in a couple of podcasts earlier, that the 2-year yields are currently falling, which is why the Fed has to now slash rates. What does that mean? Yields falling does not mean that the Fed has slashed rates. Yields falling means that the Fed will eventually slash rates because the repo rates need to match 2-year treasury yields. So what does that mean? So look at it from this perspective. You have a 100 rupee bond, right? On which you earn 5%, right? So 5% is the base yield that you earn on it, right? Which is the rate of interest. And 100 bucks is the value of that bond at the time of issuance. Now, and let's assume that it's a 2-year treasury. So effectively, you're going to make 2.5. You're effectively going to make five bucks each year, right? So let's assume that by the end of this 2-year period, you'll come out with 110 bucks. Now, as and when you're approaching maturity date, the value of that bond won't be 100 bucks because the person who's buying it in year 2 will only end up making, or say probably the person who's buying it in month 2 or month 3 will not make the full 10 bucks. He or she, if he holds till maturity, will only end up making say 9 bucks or 8 bucks. So what that does is the yield of the bond keeps on going down as and when it approaches maturity. Now, what accelerates this is if too many people are buying a bond, right? So for example, if I'm willing to buy something for, say the face value is 100 bucks, I will get 10 rupees on it as interest if I hold it till maturity for 2 years. Now, I might buy it from a person who's willing to sell it to me for 101 bucks. I might say that I don't want 10% at the end of 2 years. I am happy making 9% also because I feel this is at most that I can make from the market vis-a-vis trading equities. So I will pay 101 rupees for something that is worth 100 bucks. Hence the yield will go down. So a yield going down also means, because yield going down does not mean repo rates. Repo rates are completely independent, right? Yields going down also mean that a lot of people are buying bonds at this point of time and they're paying higher and higher than the market value of that particular bond. What that essentially means is that people are becoming risk off because people are parking money towards bonds, which basically means that bond So, which basically means that bond yields are going down at that particular point of time. When people are sort of selling bonds, that basically means that bond yields are going up, because if I'm selling something which is worth $101 for $100, the yield of the bond expands essentially. So in this particular case, what we are seeing in the US is yields are going down, which effectively means people are parking more and more money into treasury assets, which is something which is hence being followed on by the Fed in terms of cutting rates. What's happening in Japan is people at this particular point of time are selling essentially their bonds, right? Which is why the yields are going up, and they're selling it at whatever prices that they can find, and they're essentially coming out of the economy. So it's a very challenging perspective for Japan, because things are getting delinked from the US. It's exactly opposite of what's happening in the US right now. But essentially, if yields tend to keep going up, it becomes more and more attractive for investors to start coming towards treasury assets to get that yield and become risk off. What that effectively means is that liquidity gets sucked out from the Japanese market, essentially, which effectively could have a ripple effect on the rest of the world. This will actually get accentuated only if the Japanese central bank were to follow through, because currently yields are currently at 1.75 odd percent, I believe 1.7 or 1.8 odd percent. I don't know, maybe 1.9%. I forgot the
1.71. Yeah.
Exactly. So repo rate is lagging quite a bit. Repo rate is lagging by 3 times right now. Repo rate currently in Japan is about 0.5, which is 0.5%, which is 50
0.5, yeah.
Yeah. So if the Japanese central bank were to follow through with this and raise interest rates, we would then feel that it could be like a structural liquidity squeeze. But till Japanese central bank crosses the 100 bips mark, I don't think it's anything to worry about, because such fluctuations are nothing but reactions to the dollar sort of trade, which is something that we are seeing. So the Fed is sort of doing something completely opposite as of now, and which is why we are seeing these topsy-turvy yields all across the world. So unless or until the Japanese central bank crosses 100 bips, I don't think it's anything to worry about, because structurally the market is not going to get affected by that. Yeah, you might get one day of volatility. You might get crypto Twitter shouting mayhem, but none of that is going to matter, to be honest, right now, unless or until it crosses 100 bips, which I kind of feel that eventually they won't do that. They'll sort of get pressured into lowering rates again, and they probably get pressured into pausing rates. But unless or until we cross that 1% mark, nothing to worry about.
Got it. ठीक है भाई. Smart money. Will you consider Tom Lee smart money? Because he's been buying.
I don't know. I mean, Tom Lee has been considered smart money since 2017, 2016, ever since his $5,000 call on BTC going up to 100K. Yes. So I would say smart money, but yeah, I think fundamentals need to be drawn. So I think what listeners need to probably look at, obviously someone's looking at short-term trades. I think Crypto Daddy is the person to probably follow. But right now, if somebody wants to set a structural view on the market, I think there is enough noise on crypto Twitter right now, which is going to misguide people. And I beg listeners to follow the right set of people. They should come and follow us if they want unbiased advice on where the markets are going, because irrespective of what Tom Lee is saying, I think this is one of those critical moments.
No, actually, he bought
deeper into this.
$250 million का ETH खरीदा उसने weekend के dip पे.
So that's what I'm saying. So whether he's buying or not, I think the markets are structurally very, very positive, because this is one of those rare moments. This has never happened in crypto, by the way. These moments happen very, very rarely, that fundamentals exceed price action. This is probably second time in history that this is happening. If you go back the past maybe 10 odd years, that fundamentals are exceeding price action. And it's always that price action sort of exceeds fundamentals and fundamentals lags. And which is why crypto Twitter is all haywire. And yeah, I think time will sort of tell which way the trade is on. But I think Tom Lee is correct. And he is smart money.
Got it. So Nvidia के shares की अपन बात कर रहे थे, तो पीटर थील ने भी अपना पूरा stake बेच दिया है. So he's one of those people who's exiting now.
No, he exited between July and September. धीरे-धीरे अभी जाके public हुआ.
And people are exiting the booking profits. Somebody booking profits does not mean the tops are in, by the way.
God. हाँ ये देखा तुमने कि एक तो ZAGX BT बेसिकली एक वेल था ADA Cardano 7 million का था and he sort of liquidated it and
Yeah, for
liquidity
I think ADA
in
USD or
USD
something,
है
and yeah,
yeah
lost I think $6 million in
$6
slippage or
million
some shit like that.
का loss हो गया so
Obviously, who
yeah
the fuck holds assets on Cardano anyway?
तो-
And this is where it gets interesting because a lot of people don't realize this. The liquidity on chain is extremely important, and you don't go ahead and just make a big sell or buy order right away, not looking at slippage. I mean, and SNE, I'm sure he must have gotten a warning of slippage ke itna pada hua hai,
Yeah.
and he must have just blindly went on
I
and
agree.
processed
And,
the
and,
trade.
I,
Yeah,
and I think this is another trigger, right? Just because you have $7 million does not make you smart money. You could be as dumb as just believing
exactly.
it would
That's
lost
what
6 million
I
in
keep
slippage.
saying. Yes,
And
I mean in crypto you have a
that is
lot
what
of
majority
in
and
crypto
that
you
is
have a
what majority of
lot of
CT is
lucky
today.
guys. Yeah.
Correct. That is what the majority of CT is today. And I want listeners to hear this, right? Majority of CT, right, today who consider themselves gurus are fail to acknowledge that all the money that they made in the past 10 years or maybe in the last cycle was a play of luck, and they are mistaking that for skill, which is why they are all frustrated all over CT right now, the fact that the altcoin market hasn't happened, altcoin market, because they are refusing to acknowledge the fact that what happened was a stroke of luck. Because what happens was, because the markets were so bullish, right? They got lucky once. So the first time they were also matured, they thought that, okay, this is probably luck. Let me try and replicate it. It happened 2 or 3 more times. So they thought it's now skill. The second or third time was also luck because we were in such a bullish scenario. And that
yeah
is why 95% of CT today is frustrated because they are now coming to terms with the fact that how is it that I've lost money? Bro, you lost money because you got fucking lucky. And that is whom people follow today. And which is why they're all in
Exactly.
chat.
And
And
that's
I'm telling you,
exactly.
listening to these fuckers, people are going to sell the bottom. I'm telling you, people are going to
Yes,
sell the
Yeah,
yes,
bottom.
yes.
getting
That's the
wrecked.
thing, and that's what I was saying in the beginning. Okay, when you get on CT, right, you have like five guys calling the bottom, right, and who have no idea whether this is the bottom or not. Because
Yeah.
they think that this is the bottom, it is the bottom. Bro, no, that it doesn't work that way. And there are guys who are like, "Bas yahan se jo hai na, now it's going to rally up to 130, 140K, right?" I saw that guy there was a tweet about this guy who has the highest IQ in the world that he's saying that the BTC is going to go to 240K
Bro,
at by in the next 45 days. I mean, just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean you're great at trading, right?
correct.
Uh,
Correct. And
that's what
bro,
I
one more
always
thing.
believe.
Remember last week we were discussing Saylor dumps, right?
Yeah,
yeah
Zero dumps by Saylor. Zero. He
yeah
published his BTC holdings, zero change. That is how CT is rolling these days. Which is
exactly. I
why,
mean,
people need to like stay away from CD and fucking follow our channel, right? Because that's what I'm saying. Because they have no clue. They have no idea whom they're following, and the people whom they're following have no idea what the fuck they're saying. They
yeah
have
वो एक है
zero
ना
all
clue,
the
classic
big
वो
zero
guys
image.
that
accountability.
all the big guys that people are following right now as of today have lost at least a million to 2 million USD in the last 3 to 4 months alone, right?
Even no, come
And
on, we
all of
lost
them.
many.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah, yeah,
lost
yeah,
many.
yeah.
We
I'm,
lost
I'm, I'm saying
millions.
I'm saying the bare minimum guys, the basic ones who they've also lost money. And what you need to understand is if they are constantly losing money and they're constantly have you seen those tweets from that guy? What's his name? Carl Moon or Moon Carl? That guy is a
Dude, these
fucking
people are
joker, man.
media
I swear to
personalities. They
God,
are
that
media
guy's a fucking
personalities.
joker. That guy has posted like all season is going to start today. Bookmark this. That tweet he sent that out maybe 10 to 15 times in the last 2 months.
ये सभी करते हैं ना बेचारा
See, let me
सीधा
tell you
साटोशी
this much.
फ्लिप
Let me tell you
he
this much. There is no way that you can time when alt season is going to come. There is practically 0% probability. 0%. You might get right once, but then the market will take money from you the next 9 times. There is a 0% probability of figuring out when altcoin season is going to come. The only thing, at least that's the method that I follow. Like I mentioned, I was bullish on gold from 2022. 2024 is when gold started rallying. For 2 years, the price did not go anywhere. Now I could have said for those 2 years, today is when the move starts. Today is when the move starts. What would have happened? Either I would have gotten dejected the 9 times, and then the 10th time I would have sold my bag and gone, right? Or when at that point of time gold would have fallen 10%, I would have left my bag and gone. The idea is you never know when it's going to happen. The only thing that you can form is thesis, right? Fundamental analysis does not work. Technical analysis to a great degree does not work because you're always looking at laggard indicators, right? Because when you're looking at technical analysis, you're like, I'm a big fan of Benjamin Cohen, but if he talks about the 50-week moving average, that's what happened. That's what happened in the past 50 weeks. It's not what's happening right now. It's what's happening in the past 50 weeks, right? The second thing is, even when fundamental analysts say that, you know what, the last year's earnings has been this much, so the next year's earning will be this much. That is equally bad because you don't know what's going to happen the next sort of year. The only thing that you can play on, which is why I kind of consider Tom Lee maybe smart money, or maybe like, I have too many bad things to say about Arthur Hayes, but still from a thematic perspective, the guy gets it right. So the only thing that you can not predict, but the only thing that you can put your money on is a structural market. Where is the market going structural? That's it.
By the way, Arthur Hayes also liquidated all his assets, right?
Does not
I
matter.
think 2 or 3 days
Even
ago.
on hyperliquid, like
Yeah, dude, and then he ended up tweeting, maybe I sold everything for Zcash. You never know, because you never know if I bought Zcash.
But today I've been seeing people shitting on Zcash that it is the meme cabal that has moved into Zcash and all of that. And then I saw Crypto saying fuck Zcash, I'm going to go into XMR. So I was very curious why he's saying that, right? And I saw the price action on XMR. That token has stealthily been moving slowly and gradually. If you look at it, it's actually very stealthily moving, very nicely.
If there's a cabal in Zcash, there's a cabal in XMR, dude. Same.
Of course.
same ही होगा.
Yeah, I dislike Zcash cabal because I didn't make money on Zcash cabal.
Yeah, so I have like a little bit of a differing view on that. So the problem is that most of the people so you have to decide what you want to do, right? You can be, if you're looking at structures and all, you can be an investor and look at that. But a lot of people are traders. And so obviously these are lagging in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If you're a trader,
like I mentioned, trading is a profession by itself. Yeah.
If you're a trader and you're looking at daily moving averages or weekly or all of that, then obviously those things, because you're holding the positions for a short time and you're getting out. It's not like you're holding from at a point and then you want to see what your short-term trades are. And obviously
correct.
The problem is
it becomes hard for a trader to call for a bull market or a bear market because he's going to
go obviously
10 bull markets and 10 bear markets in a period of 1 year.
Obviously, but even like you said, like even if there is like a top forming, right, it forms over like a period of time, and during that period markets will move, like
exactly. A trader might trade the range. Absolutely.
Trade the range
100%.
So the problem 100%. Is that all these people who are they want to be, they are traders, but they want to pose as like they are investors, and they
I'll tell you why there are more CT influencers in the trading community. Because a trader has to give a call every day, an investor has to give a call one day. Yeah. Who is going to be more relevant or top of the mind? Somebody who tweets once a year because the market is structurally bullish, or the person who's going to post 10 times a day because the market structure is going to change 10 times a day. So it's fashionable to be a trading CT influencer, which is why 95, and I'm sure that guy must be a damn good trader when he's trading himself, right? But the point is, he's not going to be tweeting while he's trading, right? You can only do one. Crypto Daddy trades for a living, right? So he knows you can't do fucking both. You're putting in a trade, you're trading high frequency, and you're going to write maybe 100-word tweet at the same time. The solution probably is either you take your trade, and by the time you post your tweet, your exit price will already have come. So you can't do both simultaneously, which is why probably people also end up getting the trading CT guys wrong. But yeah, I think you'll find more trading CT guys because it's more.
That is why I don't post anything on CT, bro. If you look at my Twitter account, it's absolutely blank. I just use it to follow people and get the news in. I don't post anything because, to be honest, that's absolutely correct. What you just said is when you're trading, right? And by the time you post your trade, I bought this. You've already bought at a certain price.
Yeah.
And as a trader, I'm looking at maybe 10-20% move on the spot price and I'm pulling out. By the time
And you're
my
looking for exit
followers
liquidity
are
from your
getting in,
followers.
and by the time they become my exit liquidity, right? And that's what most
Correct.
traders do. Right? They make
Exactly.
their followers exit liquidity. Bro, the entire
Correct.
meme cabal did this, those
Exactly.
Orangey, Jalen, and all these guys, they all did this. They created exit liquidities from their followers. And
Correct.
I think CT influencers are all the same. They're all the same. You're just an exit liquidity for them, nothing else.
All
CT
right.
influencers, anyways, they will be having a ghostwriting team,
Yeah.
community manager who's doing it for them. And
Who's just saying
second,
whatever the fuck he wants to say, basically.
yeah, and we don't even know whether the screenshots are real because very few are posting their
100%.
wallets. Like
And
Hanjit
तीन
100%.
चार
is doing trades at
तीन चार
$50 and
accounts
he
होते
has
हैं इनके.
350 followers.
Correct.
And they have
Correct. Yeah.
followers. And the tweets that
Yeah.
they're doing for tokens are probably sponsored. So it's nothing you see is real.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
100%. 100%.
yeah. Now continuing, so there is a lot of discussion. Continuing this discussion forward, there's a lot of market. Obviously, people want to know ki bull market, bear market, what
Got it.
constitutes as a bull market and bear market. So there is cyclical bear markets and bull markets. There are secular bull markets and bear markets. So इसके बारे में
Correct.
थोड़ी बात करते हैं. Realist, like just explain it a little bit. What constitutes as a bull and bear?
Right. So, I mean, if you go by the S&P definition of what a bear market is, if you fall 30% year on year basis, you're technically in a bear market, but that does not really apply to crypto markets because 30%, तो यार 10 को हम 80-90% down there.
एक दिन की बात
So
है.
yeah, the 30% is like a 1 minute candle, maybe, so it doesn't
आज
really
बुल
matter.
कल bear.
So yeah, but yeah, in the simplest way possible, a bull market is when the advanced decline ratio, right? The number of tokens or the number of tickers that are advancing, which is they are in the green year on year or from a considerable point of time, are more weighted towards the advances, as in the ones who are going up versus the ones who are going down. So the ADI is something that I look at very, very closely because the ADI I kind of feel is a real-time indicator, again, which is not a lagging indicator, which is something that the crypto fear greed index also sort of uses. It's the ADI. So when more tokens are rising for a considerable period of time, we're in a bull market or we're in a bear market. Now, there are different kind of market conditions, right? So like you pointed out correctly, one is obviously a cyclical market, right? So cyclical markets usually happen in commodities. Like Bitcoin technically is a commodity, which is why it has this particular 4-year cycle associated with it, right? Although I kind of feel that we are probably breaking away from it right now. But nevertheless, commodities often have these cyclical rallies. So they have these periodic times when they go through these up moves and these periodic times when they go through these down moves. We've seen that in gold, we've seen that in metals, whether it's metal stocks, whether it's metals as commodities, and we've seen that in BTC also. And everything was sort of hinged on BTC, which is why the crypto cycle also followed this cyclical sort of cycle. So cyclicality is everything happens as per certain time periods, every 4 years, every 4 years, every 4 years. And the entire crypto market has been a cyclical market, right? So that is what it is. Now, then you have a structural market, right? A structural market could mean that you could be in a structural bull run for maybe like 20, 30 years, which is something that the US markets have been, right? They've been in a structural bull market ever since the US money printer went haywire ever since. So I would say the S&P has effectively been in a structural bull market. There have been dips along the way. So even when we saw 2008, we saw massive dips, but the overall index has been in a structural bull market ever since maybe the 1980s, effectively, right? And 2008, 2000 these were just blips which ended up happening, and we still end up going up, right? So even in cyclicality, there can be structural bulls, but cyclicality basically means particular time periods. Now, in case of a structural bull market, there's no particular time period. So you could be in a 30-year bull market, right? And then you could have a 10-year bear market, right? And after that, you could maybe have just a 1-year bull market. It's not that just because you had a 30-year bull market earlier, you'll have a 30-year bull market again, which is what people are expecting in BTC because BTC has been cyclical. So it's always been these 4-year cycles. Like you could predict how long a bear market would be for, you could predict how long a bull market would be for. So I think that's what's changing right now. A secular bull market is again a different condition. A secular bull market is actually the opposite of a concentrated bull market. Something that we are seeing, I'll use a very recent example, something that we saw in the crypto bull market of this season, right, which started maybe in October of 2023. All through 2023 and 2024, we saw BTC continuously going up. So the entire market was concentrated towards BTC, and everything else sort of bled or lagged against BTC. So this is a very concentrated bull market. A secular bull market is when everything moves up together, right? Something could be moving up by 10%, something could be moving up by 90%, something could be moving up by 50%, but everything effectively moves up. So a secular bull market is when everything moves up. Concentrated is only when a few things move up. Structural bull markets there are no time periods which are going to sort of repeat itself. It's just a broad-based rally or a broad-based downtrend. And cyclical is when there is a time period involved. And the inverse applies to bear also. Yeah.
So you were talking about leading and lagging indicators. So kuch example uske like, so people know what they can follow.
Yeah, this is again going to seem like free marketing for our channel, but I think this is the reason why people should follow us again, because we sort of provide this 360-degree view. Thoda karna bhi padta hai apni marketing, but so like we were saying that. So this is some research that I was doing over the weekend, right? And just back of the envelope calculations, because again, I'm of the view that CT is completely sort of bleeding. CT is dead. CT is frustrated right now, right? And it goes to show. So I was just doing a couple of back of the envelope calculations, because I follow Benjamin Covet very, very closely as well, as I'm sure a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And he was definitely talking about this 50-week moving average indicator, right? So I was thinking, what is the current trend like? Because I don't have a habit of looking at past earnings and trying to predict future earnings as well, because that's as good as technical analysis, right? You're looking at the past and predicting the future. Something to look at from a current perspective is, it's a very overlooked indicator because it never sort of clicks, but when it does, you have to sort of match it with a couple of other data points. And I kind of feel that's the crypto fear greed index, right? So the greed and fear index is what's happening right now in the market. It does not matter what's happened 10 days before. It does not matter what's happening 10 days later. It reflects exactly what's happening in the market right now. Things can change in 1 minute, but it's literally giving you an insight into what's happening now. So again, a part of that back of the envelope calculation, because we were essentially saying earlier that people are going to flock to BTC. We did not see that happen in BTC dominance, right? But then my point of view was this ought to be happening right now. So I looked at the fear greed index. I went into the constituents of the fear greed index, and voila, it actually came out correct that we are technically in Bitcoin season, because what's happening is, even though certain alt pairs were doing well against BTC, so we were saying that, oh my God, that migration to BTC is not happening. But if you look at the advanced decline index of top 100 CMC, only 5 or 10 were actually outperforming BTC, whereas the other 90% were actually lagging BTC. So which basically meant that they were still bleeding against BTC and money was flocking into BTC. Since there were a couple of sort of tokens which were doing well, which is why we weren't seeing that particular spike in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Exactly. So flight to BTC is currently happening. We are technically in BTC season, which is why the money is still flowing there. The reason why BTC is going through its upheaval right now is because, like I feel, there are a couple of institutions which got fucked on 10-10 and they're still sort of unwinding their positions. This is quite unnatural. And secondly, OGs are still selling, but OGs have not been selling in a way which have dampened the market, because OGs have been selling for the past entire 1 year and we've still sort of doubled in price. So that is definitely not the reason. Somebody might come up and say that, look, MSTR is selling, look on chain, there are so many wallets which are moving out, but most of the time it turns out to be false, right? Because MSTR came out and said that, you know what, our bag is still the same, it's still the same.
No, we discussed that on the last podcast also. कि वो सिर्फ transfer कर रहे थे. It's a very natural process for them.
Natural process, right? But again, people will use that to sort of usher in fear. So a real-time indicator I kind of feel is the crypto greed and fear index. And an interesting point that I sort of saw over the weekend is that we are technically in extreme fear territory, right? Over the past sort of 1 or 2 years, this has only happened twice or thrice. Yeah. And look at how CT is, the way CT is reacting, right? The first time we hit extreme fear, Bitcoin was at 55,000, ETH was at 2.5K. That's the first time we hit extreme fear, which was September 2023. Right after the peak bear of maybe 2022, that was the first time we hit extreme fear. Look at the next time when we hit extreme fear. We hit extreme fear the next time, which was even more fearful than a situation than 2023 September, was February of 2025, this year, early this year. ETH was still at 2.5K, even though it went to about $1,500, but ETH was still at 2.5K. And BTC at that particular point of time had gone up from, say, a 55K, had gone up considerably, right? I think from a 55K, it went up to like a 75K or a 70 odd K, right? Then 15th November 2023, we again hit peak extreme fear, as low as what we hit in Feb of 2025. Look at the price of BTC. BTC is today at 95K and ETH is at 3.2K. So we are going through these sequences, and what is the crypto fear greed index showing? That there is flight to BTC happening, right? But look at CT. CT thinks everything is over, but look at the price. Every time we are hitting fear, the price is slowly and steadily going up. So no two times has there been a situation where we've hit peak fear and the price has actually gone down below that. And I'm not talking about maybe 10 years ahead, because that time the situation would be very different. I'm talking about this last 1.5 years. Each price has remained stable, and still we've hit fear each and every time. And like I mentioned, this is the first time that, or probably the second time in history that this is happening, that fundamentals are actually exceeding price action. Yes. Right? If you look at ETH, the right way to price ETH is actually not chain revenue, right? Because ETH is a commodity. You don't price gold by the revenue it generates, right? You price gold by the fact that it secures global economy. You value ETH by the entire financial institution that it secures, right? And that's how you price ETH. I was looking at ETH fundamentals. Stablecoin market cap on ETH has constantly been on the rise, right? And I'm talking about, it's been on the rise ever since that 2022 peak there, right, of the FTX debacle. And every time ETH has probably topped is when the ratio between ETH MCAP and stablecoin MCAP on ETH, because what does stablecoins on ETH mean? Stablecoins on, because PBL is not the right way of looking at it. And chain revenue, like I mentioned, is not the right way of looking at it, because we had massive chain revenues back in 2021, but there was zero institutional adoption then, because chain revenue was high at that point of time because you had to pay about $500 for gas fees, which is not scalable. No institution was there. Today, institutions are here, which is why gas fees has gone down, right? Because ETH has gone through its upgrades, right? But at the same time, adoption has constantly been shooting through the roof right now, right? So here's the interesting metric. So because stable coins are going up and up in value, which basically means that the currency base is being set up on ETH, and this is all Wall Street money which is coming in, because if you look at BUIDL, which is BlackRock's treasury fund, that is being used as collateral to mint stable coins, which is Athena, and 80% of that is on ETH, right? So stable coins are now getting built up. Phase 2 is going to be financial assets getting tokenized. And then the price of ETH will basically become, what do you value something which secures, if not 100 trillion in financial assets, even a 10 trillion in financial assets? How do you value something like that? But let's leave, that's what Tom Lee is betting on, but let's leave that out of the window, right? What we need to now look at is stablecoin MCAP on ETH versus ETH's MCAP. Whenever ETH has sort of peaked out, right? Or so as to say that, when has fundamentals started lagging is when this ratio has reached 6 or 6.5. So last time we peaked was when the market cap of ETH to stablecoin MCAP on ETH was 6.5 to 7 times. And this has happened twice in the past 1.5, 2 years. You can go and check that. It's available on DeFi Llama. This time when ETH is lagging, stablecoin MCAP is going like this, ETH price is going like this. The ratio currently is at 2.5 times only. So which basically means you have room of at least 2 to 3x to grow from here. And stablecoin MCAP on ETH is rising by 5% every month. Historically, it's just been going up constantly. So the moment this becomes 10% growth month on month, the price at which ETH will start exceeding the price or exceeding fundamentals, that price will also go up. So that's what's happening in the market right now. So there is peak fear, which is why people don't get, and they don't get the fact that we are in a structural bull market. And this is what a structural bull market looks like. And these are opportune moments when fundamentals are exceeding and prices are lagging. Just keep buying every day. Simple. Whatever the price buy.
Yes.
Whatever the price buy. I'm sorry I took longer than I should have, but this is what I was doing over the past weekend. And this is, and like I said, this has only happened twice in history. This is the second time this is happening in the crypto market.
Well, there you have it. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but it's better advice than most of the people on CT. What you get on CT. All right.
Guys, there's some echo on your side. Okay.
All right, Narkundi. Compared to previous bull markets, ये market क्या अभी कितना returns और क्या चल रहा है थोड़ा हमको बता कि what's happening right now.
So people are going to hate me when I say this, but returns have been excellent. But we missed it. So Realist mentioned about a structural bull run. He mentioned about a concentrated bull run. And that's why people have missed out. If you compare from peak, from bottom of November 2022, the all-time highs that we've got, BTC up 700%, ETH up 350%, Sol up 2,800%, XRP, our favorite, up 1,000%. I think this is a case of great expectations and time horizon of a blink of an eye, which is what CT lives in. And we are all part of it. We are all guilty of falling into the same traps. If you look at it from a hedge fund's perspective, only 10 to 15% of hedge funds manage to beat S&P over a 30-year period.
True that.
Just by staying in these tokens that I mentioned. I'm not even going to page 2 of CMC or something. This is like just top 10, just staying over there. You could have gotten amazing returns. Fine, you don't want to pick a token. Grayscale has an ETF. It has market cap weighted index of BTC, ETH, XRP, Sol, and Cardano. Even if you look at that, you look at speculation. Don't look at Ethereum being the financial backbone for upcoming few years. Just in last 5 years, up 155%. S&P up 50%. Just by parking your money in a mega cap crypto ETF, you could have beaten S&P by 50%. S&P went up 100% in last 5 years. Just by holding this ETF, you could have got 155%. So you're still beating by 50%, but most people have missed it. And I think it's because of the CT culture, the KOLs, the fake screenshots. Mostly it's the shifting narrative. We went from memes, AI, RWA, Deepin, Pump Fun, Perp Dex, Hyperliquid, if you want to call it, Fantasy Football, which lasted for 2 weeks on base, InfoFi, and now prediction markets. So I'm not even counting the trenches, that are always going to be there, So my take is consistent with previous ones. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't be chasing the hottest meta that shows up on your timeline, because it's gonna pop out before you even know it. And we're not even going to celebrity tokens or not. Please do not even enter that territory. Stick to mega caps, stick to this, and just by doing nothing, you can get. Now, will this trend continue? I don't know. But am I bullish on BTC as long term? Yes. Am I selling? No, I'm not selling. Do I need the money now? No. I'm going to hold it. Maybe for a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5 years. But if you're not willing to put up that horizon, you're going to fall in that trader category. And everybody knows this. Most traders end up losing money. So please don't. If you are bullish on Ethereum, and reasons are there, stay. Don't look at CT as the it's good for narrative, but it's very bad when it comes to structured analysis, when it comes to long-term vision.
150% ब्रो के क्या है 150% में क्या होगा हमें 1500% तो चाहिए क्या बात कर रहा है
otherwise you're failure. Like your family will say, what are you doing?
So don't so if you want to make like quick money and do 100x, don't follow these advice. But if you want to like just save whatever capital you have, you probably should follow it, right?
Yes,
You can go for
save
the
700% in 3 years is called saving. It's an FD rate right now, I would say.
savings. So what is saving? What is saving is ओके ठीक है क्रिप्टो डैडी अपने बुल की तो हमने बहुत बात करी ऑन दी ऑफ चांस कि बेयर मार्केट आए या 2026 के एंड में so what should people expect what is your experience been in the previous bear cycles and like what do you expect for the next one and any trading tips to trade during the bear market like for short term traders obviously.
Okay, nice. Very excellent views from Ritvik and Narkundi today, Realist and Narkundi. I mean, to be honest, there are so many like shifting views that we have, even on this four people podcast that we have. Yeah, these guys are right in the long term. If you're looking at it from an investment perspective, yes, you can. And this was an advice I gave Narkundi maybe like 2 years ago, where I told him to buy $50 worth of BTC every day and just keep holding. Right?
अब क्यों बोल
Because
रहा
you
है?
have to, bro, I gave you that advice. Come on. But the thing is, and I gave this advice to almost everybody who asks me, "Okay, should I invest in crypto?" Right? And the reason why I do that is because for the general population, right, who are taking out some money to invest in crypto, they are not traders, and you have to understand that. Okay, you are not going to trade on short term. You're going to buy maybe like at 85K and then sell it at 100K. No, you won't get the chance. The way the BTC is volatile, you won't get the chance to take those profits out, right? You're too busy with work, you're too busy with family. So for you, I would suggest keep buying slowly and gradually at whatever price you're getting, because like Ritvik said, right, you have like a massive bull run that is going to be happening over the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? I've been doing that. So I know Realist has been very, like Realist says that he's been bullish on gold, right? Similarly, I've been very bullish on silver. And I think I've said this to you guys multiple times and I've been bullish on silver since the last maybe 5, 6 years. I've been buying silver slowly and gradually, and I keep, because that is my investment portfolio. I keep it for a longer period of time. When it comes to BTC and trading and understanding bull and bear market, we are not talking about like you said, like a long term market which can go like 10 years maybe bull. Yes, and if you look at BTC chart from 2010 till today, you'll see it's just been in a parabolic upside move, right? That is true. But when you're trading, you do have cycles. You do have your 4 year cycle, or maybe now it might reduce down to 3 years or 2 year cycles. We don't know. We will see how this bull bear market moves on from the current price action that we have. Huh. So one of the things that I've been saying, right? And when people were saying 98K, and in short-term trading, when I always look at what your support bands are and what your resistance bands are, right? Where is your major support sitting and where is your major resistance sitting? And if you look at it in this year, right, you see you have been having support levels at different levels, and BTC has always sort of reverted from this blue trend line. So if you see in September 2024, this is where it started moving back up. You have April 25, and now it touched here, which is your 92K mark, right? And this is the target that I had placed earlier. I told you guys I was placing my shorts and I was taking my targets here. Now, if you look at the previous cycles, now this is why people are saying that this cycle may be different from the previous cycles, because none of the previous cycles have had 3 highs in their bull run, right? If you look at previous cycles here, this is your 2021 and 2022 cycle. Look at this. You had a move from, let's say, October 2020 all the way till 63%, and then you had almost like 30% or 40% down, and then it went back up to 60%. It did the double top, and then it started moving down, and then you had your bear market. This time, yeah, it's a little different. However, I still feel that every time we see BTC closing down above, and it's not about the 50-week moving average or your 20-week moving average or the bullish or the death cross. Yes, you can have all those indicators, but a simpler term is you look where your major support is sitting. If BTC breaks your major support, you're going to look at it for going further down in the short period of time. I believe that BTC has all the possibility of moving down to at least there. 73K. This is what most CT says when when your bear market touches, you will see the bottom at 73. And I think that is a very fair price to say that this is where BTC should be moving. Now, what kind of trades will I be placing? It all depends on how BTC moves inside my trend triangle. So if it moves below 92K, that's my target. If it below 92K and starts to move down, I will probably be opening short positions. If it goes above 108K on the weekly close, I'll start making my long trades, right? And within this range, it's not like I'm not trading during this range. I am, but I'm trading, 5, 10, 15% moves up and down because I know BTC is going to be ranging throughout over here. How long will the sideways movement continue? We don't know. I assume that we can see a sideways movement of, let's say, 88 to 98K until maybe December. And maybe January 2026 is where we see BTC sort of trying to reclaim its high positions. I'm not going to say it's going to go to an all-time high. I think there should be a correction there. We should see 73, 72, 73K in the next maybe first or second quarter of 2026. That should mark the bottom. It could get elongated all the way to November, December. But once that is done, we might see a move back up. And again, you can see it on the chart. It's moving on. It's moving, towards the top side slowly and gradually. So yes, you can have your assets inside BTC and sort of have a long-term investment. Even now, buy it and just let it be. It might go down maybe 30%, but in the longer run, you'll end up making money. Or you trade short term, as I do it. It depends on how you are as an individual.
Got it. All of this is not financial advice. Not
Yes,
financial
please.
advice. Uh, दिखावों पे मत जाओ, खुद की अकल लगाओ, do your own research. हम we can only show you the path. You have to walk it yourself, Neo.
Yes.
So
We don't show the path. We just show you the address to the path. That this is how
Where we
how it
are
should be.
going. Where we are going, do not come
Where
along
we
with
are
us.
going,
You come.
exactly.
But don't come along with us in our car. अपनी गाड़ी लेके आओ आज.
More importantly, what we've been through.
yeah.
But I think like agar trading kar rahe, then one thing is that you have to be okay with, you have to make peace with whatever you think is a local top and bottom, and keep booking your profits and just move
Correct.
on
Yeah.
with it.
Absolutely.
If you are
That is
okay with that,
extremely
I think
important. Keep booking profits is the most important sentence that you can remember. I would say if you're trading, make it your wallpaper, write it down on a piece of paper, stick it in front of you, and keep booking profits. That is the game.
yeah, because otherwise you'll always have this dilemma that okay, नहीं बेचा तो like okay fine कितना चले आता, बेच दिया था अरे loss हो गया और चले आता, like if you're just if your portfolio is just like unbooked profits and you just keep taking screenshots, it's not profit then. So
क्या बात है सर, ये तो आपने 100 रुपए की बात कही है.
speaking from personal experience.
Yes. All right, I hope you guys liked this episode. Please like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. कल फिर से एक नए टॉपिक और with more news. Thank you so much.